I present AEROUANT, a kingdom excelling in trade, wisdom, history, religion, and naval strength, having dominance over the ocean and instilling their own dominance across the kingdoms. Hey, it's Muffin. Similar to the very first video on this channel, this is a walkthrough of the current status in the development of the kingdom of AEROUANT, and we walk from Dawnfall, which is what I explored in the first video, past its farms and into the neighbouring kingdom of AEROUANT. AEROUANT is themed after the High Towers from Game of Thrones, being this naval and military strength, but also a source of wisdom in the world. The initial lore is that one of the 3 ships that were used to spread the knowledge that was held in Dawnfall, one of those ships later sailed and established its own kingdom over here. I'll be presenting today a brief history of the kingdom and explaining some of the block palette decisions, and also what their food source is, what their strengths are, and how they contribute to the overall Council of the Dragons. As we go through the gates, we're presented with a view of the major city of AEROUANT. It's divided into several smaller locations. There are towns on the outskirts that have been recently established as the population grew, and later on in the video I'll explain why there is such a growth in population here. Smaller towns along the outskirts house a large portion of the non-native population, and yet they still hold the same religion as is practiced in the major city. The kingdom of AEROUANT is entirely dependent on trade, so much so that they have no need to produce their own food. If we go further up, we head towards Jürgendelf, which is the dwarven themed village, but today I limit our exploration of this world to just this area. So across this kingdom are scattered small churches, and these churches act as small education centres as well for the local population. And part of that is to maintain the control of the theocratic authority in the kingdom, but also just to share the wisdom. And there doesn't have to be malice behind the sharing of that wisdom. A lot of this build is still under development, but I felt it was good enough to present. So there is a big theme of greenery, stones and water, and the reason behind that is that this city was founded on the banks of the major river. This old town was the initial setup, and where over time they kept piling up their builds on top of each other. On the top right, you may soon see a lighthouse that doubles as a massive library. and it's attracted a lot of people from across the world to come and learn, to study, as well as it doubling as just a lighthouse to guide ships across this connecting sea. So the original owners of this area, the original descent from the High King of Dawnfall, resided in the palace that is at the centre of the screen at the moment, all the way at the top. And with hundreds and hundreds of years of wisdom accruing in this area, they developed very good architectural techniques and very good engineering, which allowed them to make these massive cities that would stack upon each other. So these people are the higher class solely because of their ancestry. But as the religion spreads in this world and in this kingdom, the clash between the power of the religion and the power of the ancient kings was very likely to cause disruption in the area. And the resolution was that at the end, when there was only a daughter left of this higher class area, she was married off to the Pope-like figure, the head of the cathedral, the main central cathedral in the extended kingdoms. And the Pope equivalent was able to marry the daughter of the last of the last king of AEROUANT, and in that way there was a peaceful succession of authority where neither party was removed from authority. But the major power is held by the church. Though, just to note, this is not a Catholic or Christian church. This is simply built with inspiration of the structure. This is one of the largest cathedrals in the world and acts as a pilgrimage site for all that practice this religion. And with it being the site of pilgrimage, it furthers the trade in this world, which is one of the other reasons why the population has grown so much more and why the power of the church has grown to such a great extent, because the vast population favours the church over the previous kingship. The dragon that we observed sitting at the base is positioned in the middle of the church in the old area, as well as the lighthouse, and it directly functions as a symbol of the strength, unity and power of the Kingdom of AEROUANT, and how it is one of the allies of the Dragon Council. If you're enjoying the video so far, I would appreciate a like, and if you could subscribe. If you have comments, please do leave them down in the comment section below. A lot of these builds are based off of inspirations, and so continuous prompts by the community does help expand the lore and expand the world itself. One of the things that you might see loading in is the crescent moon on the green background. The greenery is a symbol of the trees, but you may not see many trees here, which is because most of the trees were cut down and used for shipbuilding. The moon, though, is a a celestial body that is able to pass over the world, and to the people that used to live here, they would see it as that heavenly body or that heavenly ship that sails daily across the world. And during inspiration, as they themselves were a sailing nation, they took that to be their emblem. The lighthouse itself is the largest library, with the Lighthouse of Wisdom being the name, as a double to being a physical lighthouse and also a beacon to the world that this is the house of wisdom. Come here to be enlightened. And it holds almost all of the books in the world, and part of the presence of such books brings in all the academics from across the world, and with them all coming in here, it creates universities and schooling, and which is one of the reasons why the population here isn't illiterate. It is why they are smart, why they're able to build so much. Now you might notice that all the builds are almost entirely made of stone or cobblestone, and the reason is that the trees were preserved for shipbuilding, and because there was an excess of stone material from the excavation around the lighthouse, they used that material instead to build the cities. So we enter now into the lower city, which is where the vast majority of the population lives. And they live down here away from the higher class, away from the ancient king, and also separate from the cathedral up top, but at the doorstep or at the foot of the cathedral. The building on the left that I pass by right now is the mayor equivalent that looks after this area. And flying over here, you'll see the presence of churches and galleries and other buildings that also double as trade, with these dome-like ones being the guardhouses. And the presence of so many similar buildings was done intentionally, because as there was such a growing population, the people of the area required fast building, and so trade guilds would have pre-decided constructions in terms of housings or apartments, and they would mass produce them to accommodate for the growing population. With all population and people coming from across the world, we had Arabic influence and Roman influence that led to the building of the mosque-like temple, as well as the amphitheatre. And you see a clash, and not a clash, like a bringing forth of various different types of cultures, with the architecture from all across the world coming together in AEROUANT, or with the block palette of this area. With such a large population, I felt that it was very important to have entertainment, which led to the development of this amphitheatre, as well as a art gallery that we will soon see. Because with them being so smart, it constantly fueled their creative thinking, which led to performative arts and visual arts as well. On the top of that hill that we just passed by, this is the gallery or the art museum. On top of the hill, I plan on making a university, just to function as as a house where people can go to, and that holds the wisdom. And I plan on having that university be manned or staffed by wise folk from all across the world that bring their own intelligence and are able to share it with the people over here. I have a tutorial for that tavern that we just passed by. And yeah, as you can see, there are markets scattered all over the place. But another point is that with such a growing population being crammed into this area, it also leads to a lot of homeless people. They find little spaces where they can set up their small tents and just reside. But because it's so well structured and so well manned, and they don't have a shortage of food, there is very minimum crime in the area, and that's also maintained by the vast presence of religion, which forces the people to have this moral compass within themselves and to abide by their strict religion. But of course there are still criminals here and there, and so there are public executions, and that is the means of justice and instilling authority in this area, which is done by hanging at the galleys that we can see on the left here. Entering the docks, we see the main forefront of the trade of the region. This massive marketplace sits right at the docks, with trade being fastened by the people of AEROUANT being the first to develop cranes to help unload ships, which was done with their excellent understanding of ropes. Because they are seated at the connecting sea, which is a sea that runs between the two continents and is able to link multiple cities together, there is the threat that the people of AEROUANT may be invaded. And because of that, the already advantage of naval strength that AEROUANT had was maximised by the development of forts and through ship building areas. With their existing presence of naval strength, the Kingdom of AEROUANT was able to maximise this and create massive armadas. And these ships are stationed at key points to ensure that the ships passing through the connecting sea are able to do so safely, and that safe passage incurs a tax. The vast majority of the ships are currently escorting the Pope to Hetepepep, where they were able to create a new church. Hetepepep will likely be the next video that I tour, but if you did enjoy this one, do leave a like. If you have suggestions, please do leave a comment for future builds. If you enjoy it and want to see similar ones, subscribe. But most importantly, have a good day.